A very warm welcome back to the Football Martin podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that you're well and that you've had a good week. It's been a really busy week for myself, so I haven't had loads of time to sit down and film, record a podcast and do as much content as I wanted to this week. It's just been so busy at work. I have a day job which is really, really busy. But it is the weekend. It's time to sit down, and I've had a bit of chance to sort of calm down after last weekend's game against Brentford in the Premier League, and it's all about the FA Cup. It's FA Cup weekend. Traditionally, a weekend that I always look forward to actually is like the first round that we go into as a football club, and that opportunity to try and get on a cut run. But it feels very flat around Southampton, and there's no surprises there. The league form and the season's just been so dire. The form at home has been awful. 3-5-0 defeats, and the fans have decided, a lot of fans have decided that they won't go to St Mary's tomorrow. Ticket pricing is not great, I wouldn't say. $22.50 for an adult. Doesn't sound a lot, but it is a lot for somebody that wants to take 3 kids, or 2 adults, 3 kids. It's still a lot of money for an FA Cup game just after Christmas, and the team are out of form. And the performance against Brentford, and I spoke about it on the show at the start of the week about that lack of desire, that a lot of fans felt that the players weren't playing for the fans, they weren't playing for the shirt, and I think that is why a lot of people are not going tomorrow. It's my first game this season by out of choice that I'm not going to go. Actually, I'm going to watch it at home. It's on the BBC iPlayer, so I'm going to sit and watch it, and I'm going to do a watch along on my channel. So if you want to tune in and watch it with me, you'd be more than welcome. I will be your second screen if you want one, and you can join in the comments as well. But bring the community together and we'll talk about the game. It'd be interesting to see how it does unravel, but we will focus a little bit more on the FA Cup in a minute. We're going to do Saints news to kick off today's show, and I want to bring some good news actually, and a bit of positivity, because Gavin Bazunu, the Southampton goalkeeper, he made a return last night against Fulham. He played for the under-21s. They were down at the Snow Stadium at AFC Totton, and Bazunu was between the sticks for the first time since that injury that he picked up back in April time. It was against Preston in the warm-up where he ruptured his Achilles tendon. It was a nasty injury. And I had the pleasure of seeing him at the Puma event down at St Mary's. I think it was about June, July time. And he looked like he was really down. And he said he'd had a tough time, and he was working really hard to get back. But it's tough, isn't it? When you're away from your family, just here with his girlfriend, going through that sort of injury, it can be quite lonely. And obviously he got injured at a horrible time, and he missed that run between April and the end of the season and that playoff. I know that Russell Martin, the manager at the time, kept him involved with the squad, but it must have been so demoralising for him. Really, really tough. But it was good to see him back last night. He kept a clean sheet against Fulham under-21s. Fulham are one of the best teams in that division as well. So congratulations to Gav being back. Get involved in the comments box below. Gavin Bazunu makes a return. Brilliant to see him back between the sticks. And let's hope his rehab goes well. He's going to need a bit more game time. I don't think he'll make the matchday squad against Swansea this Sunday, but he will get more chances, you would think, with the under-21s. I've not looked at the fixtures, but I'm sure there's more up and coming. Another player that played 45 minutes in that game was Wellington, the left back. He came in last week from Sao Paulo. He played 45 minutes. From what I read online, he was a little bit rusty in the game, but his first 45 minutes, it kind of shows where his fitness is at the moment, just to play 45 minutes. Another bit of positivity is Don Ballard. He returned to the club, and he scored a hat-trick against Fulham on Friday night. It was a really good return for him. He come back from Blackpool, where, to be fair, I looked at his statistics at Blackpool, and he scored 1 goal in 18 games in the last 18. So I don't think he'd had a great time there. But he comes back, scores a hat-trick. Be interesting to see if he's involved in the matchday squad, potentially against Swansea. I'm not sure if he will be, but a lot of fans calling him to be given a chance. He scored 1 goal in 18 games for Blackpool. There's a long way to go. He had a nasty injury a couple of years ago, didn't he, as well? So congratulations to him getting a hat-trick. Sam Amieo on the score sheet as well. Looks like he's going to go out on loan this January as well. I think he's a great young talent. Would like to see him in the matchday squad against Swansea, to be quite honest, but I'm not convinced that he will be. Like I said, we'll talk about the Swansea game at the back end of this podcast. It's not going to be a long podcast today. It's not going to be a long show. We'll do a bit of a longer recap on everything later on next week. And if you're not following Total Saints podcast, make sure you go and give Total Saints podcast a follow. I am hosting the show on Monday night. It's live. It's broadcasted live. It's recorded live at 7 p.m. On YouTube, but you can catch up with it on all the major podcast providers, and that'll be out later in the evening on Monday. Aaron Ramsdale, bit of transfer chat. We should talk about Aaron Ramsdale. There's a bit of chat last couple of days linking him with Newcastle United. Not convinced it will happen in January, but there is a lot of talk that he could do. I'm not sure they're financially in a position to do it. I read TalkSport yesterday, said that they weren't sure that financially they're in a position to do it. Bazunu's making a return for Saints, but all this talk's kind of coming up as Bazunu's returning. Be interesting. He must be thinking, what have I walked into here? Because it must be really tough as a goalkeeper to concede what he's conceded in 5 against Brentford. And to be fair, it's not like all the goals were his fault neither. I think he's a top goalkeeper. I put a video on my TikTok yesterday, and Newcastle fans were turning their nose up at him. And I'm really surprised they're turning their nose up at him, because I think he's an outstanding goalkeeper. He's just not been playing in a good side, and it's probably not he's not doing his career that much good being at Southampton at the moment, getting beaten week in, week out, conceding goals week in, week out. It must be really, really tough for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he would look to get out the door. It's a long way from the South Coast to go all the way and start playing football in Newcastle when he's got a family and kids. A lot of people talk about transfers, but all these players, they have families, they have houses, they have kids in schools. It's not just that easy. And it's a big thing for a player moving to another club. Big thing. I was chatting to somebody that was involved in football the other day, and I had a brilliant conversation with a gentleman, and he will be tuned in listening now, and he will know who he is. And he's absolutely right. We were speaking about players moving from clubs, but they're human beings. It's a lot to go through to try and settle into another football club. And to do it midway through a season must be really, really difficult as well. So players moving in the January window, it must be really, really difficult. But there are loads of talk around Ramsdale. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. The window's got some way to go yet. I did, coming away from Southampton actually, I did a TikTok today actually, and I spoke about Marcus Rashford. I know it's quite random, but I've been chatting about loads of different football stories on my TikTok, and I spoke about Marcus Rashford. One man that's probably the biggest story that's circulating at the moment is, where does he go? But what happened to his career, by the way? Such a good player, so much promise. Light was burning so strong from the start, wasn't it? He was brilliant in his opening few years at United, and it's just like he's faded away. And it's really sad to see that from a player. But isn't confidence everything in football? And that was a conversation I was having with my friend the other day. Confidence in football is everything. I hope that he turns his career around. Rashford, talk of him going to Barcelona or AC Milan. Get involved in the comments box below. What happened to Marcus Rashford? I know it's totally non-Southampton related, but it's an interesting conversation. And if you're not following me on TikTok, make sure you do, at FootballMartin_. I do predominantly Southampton content because I'm a Southampton fan, I'm a Southampton content creator, but I am trying to introduce more content where it's not just, it's all the major talking points in football with a big focus on Southampton, but it's nice to interact with other fans as well. Let's talk about FA Cup now. Southampton tomorrow, home to Swansea. Looks like it could be our lowest ever attendance outside of COVID times in an FA Cup game. It could be about 8,000 Southampton fans. I'm not sure how many are going to travel from Swansea. It's a fair way to come on a Sunday with a kick-off at 4:30. It's on BBC Wales, BBC 2 Wales, I think. So you can watch it on that if you've got Sky. And it'd be available on iPlayer as well. And Ivan Juric, he had his press conference yesterday. I did tune into bits of it. It was a very short-lived press conference, I've got to say. But he spoke about the game, obviously. I think he'd play a strong side in this. And he went on to say he's looking for his key players in this game in the third round of the Emirates FA Cup. He wants to progress to the third round. He wants to progress to the third round of the competition for the 6th consecutive season. I didn't realise Saints had done that. It's good going. I think we have a good chance to get a victory tomorrow if the players turn up. Juric went on and stated that He's going to approach this fixture as normal. Not sure what he means by that. Like, is he treating it like he would have done the build-up to the Brentford game, the Fulham game, well, not the Fulham game, the West Ham game. He said the players have been working hard, but they need to work hard after what we saw last weekend, because they didn't work hard last weekend against Brentford. There's no doubt about that. And he said they're trying to find a way to be more competitive. It will be interesting to see. Didn't really talk too much about team news and who was available, but he said we're working to find our identity, and we'll see on Sunday. Obviously, see if the hard work's been paying off. He said that the FA Cup's really important. We need the joy of playing some good games. I totally agree. We need to find a way to start enjoying games again. But we need to start finding a way to win games. And the FA Cup does give you that opportunity to get that momentum, like he said, and maybe carry that on. He doesn't want to rest players, he said as well. He says he has 17 to 18 players, maybe more, who are competitive, and he just wants to win the game. And then we can look ahead to the Man United and the Forest game. Man United being Thursday night and Forest being on Sunday. The games come thick and fast after this, that's for sure. He was asked about Armal Bella-Kotchap. Would he be involved? He said he's been back in training with the group. They've been trying to bring him up to speed. And Jurek, they were saying that he played his cards quite close to his chest. He said we will have to wait and see whether he features in the game tomorrow. I hope he does, gives him that opportunity. But talking about centre-backs, I've been hearing about Ronnie Edwards. He's been out on loan at QPR. They got stuffed in the FA Cup today. I'm not sure how he played, but heard he played well in the prior game for QPR, but they got absolutely battered by Leicester today. We'll take a look at some of the results very, very shortly. What else do we have? That wraps up everything for Swansea. Get involved with your score predictions. How do you think Saints are doing this one? Just give me your thoughts on that. Will Bella-Kotchap play? Saints need to find a way to win games. That's for sure. Looking forward to it. You can watch it with me across my platforms this Sunday from 4:30. Kayla Randall in the ladies team, in the women's team, she's moved on to Man United. Congratulations to her. She's a goalkeeper. Used to supply her gloves through the brand I work with. Congratulations, Kayla, on your move to Man United. I hope that goes well. Elsewhere in football, David Moyes is back in the game. A man that was linked with Southampton earlier on in the season, a few weeks ago, when Southampton were looking for a manager, and a lot of Southampton fans really wanted to see David Moyes come in. He's gone back to Everton. Very, very strange that they've turned to a man that was there many, many years ago. Sean Dyche moved on. I find it really, really bizarre. Going back again, it doesn't always work, does it, going back again either? I just think just old school. It's just pure desperation sometimes, I think. I might be wrong in saying that. Give me your thoughts in the comments box below. I'm just having a look at the FA Cup games actually from today. I had a bit of Soccer Saturday on, but I did have a little bit of time out today away from football. Had a cycle this morning, which I enjoy doing. Got 30 miles in on the bike on a very, very cold morning here on the Isle of Wight. Had a lovely cycle, and I've come home, and then my daughters are back for the weekend, and I took them for a nice walk. So I haven't watched Soccer Saturday in full. I've watched the build-up, but I'm just having a look at some of the results today. Birmingham City beat Lincoln. See if there's any shock results in there. Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Bristol City 2-1. Middlesbrough lost 1-0 to Blackburn. They're in good form, Blackburn. Liverpool kicked off earlier in the day. They won 4-0 against Accrington Stanley. I spoke about QPR, didn't I? A short while ago on a podcast. 6-2 victory for Leicester City today. Good result for them. AFC Bournemouth, they're flying at the moment, aren't they? They beat West Bromwich Albion 5-1. Big victory for them. Really, really big victory for them. Plymouth Argyle, they played Brentford. They won 1-0. That's an upset. Brentford losing there. Chelsea won 5-0 against Morecambe. Exeter City, big win for them, 3-1. Norwich lost to Brighton and Hove Albion 4-0. Forest beat Luton Town 2-0. Forest Southampton play next week. Very, very much looking forward to that one. Reading hosted Burnley. They lost 3-1. Sunderland, they lost at home to Stoke City this afternoon. That was after extra time as well. So was the Reading game as well. And then there's other games going on as I record at this moment in time. One of those is Man City and Salford City. I'm going to go and watch that very, very shortly. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. I thought it was worth just jumping on and putting the show out. I get so many nice comments on the channel, so thank you very, very much for all the kind comments. Keep them coming, get involved, give me your score predictions for tomorrow's game. I'll be live if you want to tune in and watch it with me across my platforms. It'd be great to have you join us, and it'd be good. It'd be good to watch a bit of FA Cup action from the comfort of my own home. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great Saturday evening if you're tuning in Saturday. If you're tuning in on Sunday, enjoy your Sunday, and we'll be back here on the FootballMartin channel later on this weekend.